The fact when I first started down here, I had something blow up, and now I have to put a lot of my attention on this issue before I can really start generating more content like I wanted to do in the first place.
Wonderful. I can't wait to see the stuff you come out with. You got to come up here and hang out with Uncle Bob and I and go on some cop watching patrols. I think that'll be a lot of fun for you.
Yeah, it sounds like there's quite a few things that would be interesting to watch up there, especially with like some of the protest events and all that. Because the cops seem to be like all over. They're not consistent with how they're enforcing some stuff. Because I remember watching the video where they wouldn't allow you enter to go film the what is it, the freedom prayer thing or something like that.
The Patriot Prayer thing, yeah.
Yeah. In which case, that would have been a great thing to cover from the inside right there. And knowing you, you're not causing any problems with them. In fact, probably they'd be happy to have discussions with you. For the most part, judging from a lot of the people that were present for that event. But I can understand why the cops were trying to keep other people out. But the thing is, if they knew you, they should obviously know that you're no problem. You're not going to be the one causing problems on the other side.
No,
of that line.
I've never physically interfered with law enforcement. I've been doing this for almost 7 years now. I've been systematically filming and documenting police encounters in public in a systematic way for almost 7 years. And during that course of that time, the worst the cops will ever get from me is some heckling or, some expletives. That's about it. It's really, really ridiculous. But honestly, I've sent that video of, Officer Curtis and a few other officers both telling me I'm not media, that I don't work with the press. They're informing me that I'm with the counter protest. They physically put their hands on me. They're shoving me 25 feet backwards and forcing me out of an area they were granting other media access into. And unfortunately, I've showed that video to at least 27 different law firms. I sent in my official complaint because I typed up an official complaint for Portland Police Bureau that's going through their official independent police review board process, and I don't know where that's going. I've gotten a form letter back from Portland Police Bureau, and they told me that I would be getting an answer from them within the next few weeks, whether or not they're going to pursue it and investigate further than my complaint. But the 26, I think 27 now lawyers that I've sent that official complaint and the videos to have all gotten back to me telling me things to the effect of, since I used expletives, since I told the officers that I intended to sue, I sound arrogant and they're unwilling to take my lawsuit. So I can't get anyone to represent me pro bono because they believe a jury will not look at me in a favorable light because I use the F-bomb when addressing the police. So that's something that other cop watchers and other, police accountability activists, other liberty activists like yourself need to bear in mind. As a lawyer, there's a really good chance that they're not going to take your case if you're cursing the police out, which I don't understand. I mean, police can, murder people and nothing happens to them. Police can, kidnap people. They can steal your car. They can steal your house. They can shoot your unarmed loved ones in the back. And, society still seems to put them up on this pedestal and worship them. They're way up here and we're the lowly slaves down here. But the minute you cuss one of them out, then all of a sudden, you're the bad guy and you're evil. We live in a society that really does worship authority as if though it were a god. And I find it appalling and annoying, but, I'm a savage. I'll admit it. I talk like a street person. That's just who I am. As a young adult, I spent 15 years of my life homeless, squatting, riding trains, hitchhiking all over the country. And that's just who I am. I can't purge that urge to cuss a cop out. It's almost impossible for me to remove that part of myself. But, word to the wise, if you ever plan to make a legal claim against police for violating your rights, I mean, they're practically going to have to kill you before anyone will take a legal case.
Yeah, and the big issue is actually if you end up seeing me and News Now Houston and P&P talk with Bankai there about his incident, about where pretty much we just need to we sort of need to start showing lawyers that there is money in this kind of stuff when it comes to the settlements, and we just got to start getting more wins underneath our belts as a community as a whole.
Yeah, that's what it is, really. That I was told by multiple lawyers in emails that they're not 100% sure a jury they can win. You know, and if they're going to represent you pro bono, because they don't have the money to hire a lawyer, they need to be almost certain that they can win the case. And if you're using expletives, consider my folly as your warning. If you're watching this and you're part of the cop watching or the liberty subculture, you need to understand that, the minute you throw out an F-bomb or the minute you say, I'm going to sue you, lawyers are going to start shaking their heads and looking down because they don't want to take your case. I mean, like I said, they're going to have to shoot you in the back while you're, buying a bag of potato chips, for a pro bono lawyer to take it.
Yeah, and my solution for possibly with some of the lawyers that have an issue with like the cursing and all that stuff, Sean Thomas actually files a lot of his own cases. And he's won quite a few of them, of civil rights actions with the New York Police Department. And I guess he's starting up his own little call-in show or something like that. But he would be a great resource to pay attention to and ask questions of how he goes about doing his. So
where can my audience and myself find this guy's information on the interweb?
Just YouTube Sean Thomas. Thomas is THOMAS, I think it is.
Just like Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
All right.
And he should have, just look for the channel that's putting up a lot of cop watching or cop interaction videos, because he has some really good ones where he's like sitting there and he's using a vape pen or whatever in a subway area, and he gets in arguments with the transit police all the time about is it a crime or not, and he keeps telling them, no, it's not. I've already been to court over this. And he has a couple of times over that where they said, yeah, the vape pen is not barred underneath the city's smoking ordinance and stuff like that. And so he's fought that incident. He's dealt with issues where he's had like a tall iced tea in like a brown paper bag and had to deal with cops harassing him over that. And he's filmed those interactions. In fact, he's actually been arrested over one of those interactions too. I don't know if he filed a lawsuit on that specific incident, but as I said, he's done a couple directly with the police, and I think that I don't know if they led to settlements or whatnot on the full history, because unfortunately, I'm not able to pay attention to everybody's backgrounds and all their legal cases that they do.
Right, there's so much, and we're all doing so many things. There's so many, before Ferguson, the cop watching and the liberty community online, especially on YouTube, was very small. But Ferguson brought police accountability and, activist, journalist, hybrids such as ourselves into the limelight, really. It's really taken off after that, It became dinner conversation, in most people's homes after Ferguson, which is a good thing,
Yeah, and I mean, what Ferguson showed was that having the active recording going on during the protests and all that stuff does huge amounts for accountability on all sides, because you had bad people within the protests, you had bad police officers that were targeting not just people with cell phones and all that stuff, but they're targeting the media. I mean, mainstream media.
The corporate media. Yeah, they were grabbing them up. They arrested someone at McDonald's. I think he worked for not the Associated Press, but NBC, I believe.
Yeah, and it's sort of what's led to a large snowballing effect with the growing thing. And now, currently, what some of the my associates say, they're saying that we're looking at 2, maybe 3 new channels each month popping up, starting to do the First Amendment stuff or cop watching or something along those lines in some form or fashion.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. You know what I would like to see? I would like to see a summit, a West Coast summit where we do a symposium and maybe have speakers. I would love to set something like that up. If I got the resources, I'd be all over it. Speaking of summits or other folks, let's tease our prospective audiences with people that we would like to try to get on, and you voice your wish list and I'll voice mine, and then we'll prospectively both reach out and see if we can get some of these people to join us on Strategic Noncompliance.
Well, what was it? I would love to get like the grandfather, daddy of them all in here. Duap Kamau, or he keeps changing his YouTube channel. He's like the first guy who started filming police back in the 80s, using like the the old giant tape recorder camcorders from back then. And he was on NBC several times back in the 90s and early 2000s with his undercover stings of doing police complaints. That would be a really good one to get on at some point.
Yeah, we could do that. I would love, I think I'd like to get Carlos Miller. That would be great. I'd like to have a conversation with him. You know, maybe we could get some information about what's going on with PNAC. That might be interesting. I would love to get Tom Zebra. I love the man's work. He makes me laugh very much. I have lots of respect for Tom.
I really want to hear more in depth about his drone story and all that stuff, for get that out there with the whole incident, because with that was like a almost 3-year process of getting his drone back, and I guess the court battle itself was almost 2 years in itself over the charges. Yeah,
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I remember when Demetrius Cooper, this black fellow that used to work with me on the Film the Police Portland project, 2015, he flew, and I was with him, but he was behind the controls, but he flew a DJI Phantom 2 over the FBI building. And what ended up happening with that is he was harassed multiple times by Secret Service. Whenever a president would show up, those 2 presidential visits while Demi was working with Film the Police Portland, and Secret Service showed up at his home and asked him if he planned to fly his drone over the president. That was pretty interesting. He was fined by the FAA, I think over $1,000, because we didn't know the FAA regulation about flying closer than 5 miles of the airport. So, you know, it was a learning process for us, you know.
Yeah, actually, it was not flying within 5 miles. It was just flying within a controlled airspace. You can fly right next to an airport as long as the airspace is unrestricted. And unfortunately, the FBI building is within 2 miles of the airport, and they have, I think it's Class B airspace going almost 6 miles out from the surface up. And so you guys just ended up flying inside Class B, Class B or C airspace, controlled airspace, which is essentially, it's like having a controlled intersection. You have someone that's directing everything, making reducing the chances that there's going to be a crash between airplanes and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what controlled airspace really is. It's just like,
oopsie.
Yeah, and so it was essentially a jaywalking ticket in the air traffic world.
Yeah, but you know, a $1,500 jaywalking ticket.
Yeah, well, the FAA gets really serious with their fines and all that stuff because
well, I understand.